There were what they called white fuzzies back in the day, or these gray-haired, like Sasquatch creatures that were seen out there. We had paranormal activity going on, not only there, but I also had it follow me to where I lived. So I only visited the ranch. My mom was dating the gentleman. Their two youngest sons lived with us during the week, so I'd visit the ranch on the weekend. So I did not live there full time. So the activity, the paranormal stuff kind of followed me home to my house in Englewood at the time, and still does to this day. I have a lot of those ghostly things happen to me all the time. But we also had, the cryptids, the paranormal stuff. We had the UFO and the orb activity out there as well. And then the military side of it. So it's, these blacked out helicopters and things like that.
Were you ever scared there?
Yeah, as a little girl, I was very scared.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Give us a story or two.
Yeah, the scariest night on the ranch for us, it was the boys' mother's birthday. It was a weekend. We were visiting. The adults were playing board games in the front room. My sister, myself, and the three boys were in the back room just hanging out, being teenagers and kids
being
or whatever,
kids.
right? And one of the very first things that was reported on this ranch were these strange hum sounds. Sometimes they would get so loud that you couldn't hear each other speak over it. And, they're always trying to figure out, where are these strange hums coming from? What are these strange noises? And anytime these hums would start up, unusual things would start to happen on the ranch property. This particular night, the hum started up. All the power in the house goes out. So we're all like, oh my gosh, we need flashlights, candles. Well, we're already scared and freaked out. I saw the brightest light I've ever seen out of that window. And at that point in time, we heard this disembodied electrical sounding voice out of every orifice of the house. And what's really interesting about this, my sister and I remember this, and my mother, but in the APRA report is the exact quote that says, "Attention, we have allowed you to remain. We have interfered with your lives very little. Do not cause us to take action which you will regret. Your friends will be instructed to remain silent concerning us." We were the friends. So we were threatened and warned not to talk about what was happening there. And I know that quote because it was in the APRO report, the Aerial Phenomenon Research
Who was
Organization.
sending those messages?
Well, for the long time, that was a big question, right? I'm like, where did this come from? What is this? In my research, George, my theory kind of is that back in the mid to late 70s, perhaps they were experimenting with some new technologies, some laser technologies, arrays underground, but I found something called plasma ball technology. And this plasma ball technology, they were experimenting with that kind of pipes human sounding voice out into the field. So if you're in battle, you don't have to put your men and women out there and risk their lives. You can pipe out this human sounding voice. And when I heard this for the first time, it sounded like the voice I heard when I was a child on that ranch. So I'm like, were they experimenting with plasma ball technology out there? I tend to think that's where I'm leaning on that particular event. However, that doesn't explain the big bright light. We didn't hear helicopter noises. It doesn't explain the paranormal types of things that's going on. So I'm always left with a back and forth,
Katie, might it be hallowed ground?
I think
from
so.
Like hundreds and hundreds of years ago?
For sure, that's a very nomadic land. I mean, we have a history of many tribes out there, from the Cheyenne, the Ute, the Comanche, the Pawnee, the Kiowa, and so very much sacred spots out there. And of course, we have the family of the Hungates. So the Hungate family lived in Kiowa, Colorado. They were massacred by a native tribe. They were taken down to the city of Denver, put in right out front of the state capitol. That was the impetus for the horrific Sand Creek Massacre event out there, which was horrific. So yeah, there were a lot of very traumatic things that happened in that whole area. And I wonder sometimes if the land and the water and the streams holds that energy. I'm not sure, but that's something I certainly consider.